This is presenting a very unique session, Power Dressing for Women, by designer Purushu, come ahead of us, who will be sharing insights on connecting power dressing with authenticity and functionality, keeping in mind the personal tastes and comforts. So, everybody who wants to feel like a boss babe, this is the session to be at. And now that she's here, I'm going to say that, so this session was, one evening I was chatting with Katrina, who's here, who's the head of the Goethe Institute, and I was like, just discussing, and she was like, you know, we should really do something about power dressing. We're always thinking about what to wear and how to wear it. And so I said, oh my God, we should, this is perfect for Utsavam. And then I started talking to Adam, who is the head of KM, and I was like, Adam, I don't know which designer to invite. And he was like, Purushu is your person. So hence, thanks to Adam, thanks to Katrina, like I said, it takes a village to bring up an artist, it takes a village to curate a festival also. So, Purushu, over to you.
Thank you, Shreya, for the very kind words and the warm welcome. It feels really nice to be here at Dakshinachitra. A very good afternoon to everyone here. So we'll be discussing power dressing. I want someone from the audience to tell me what power dressing will mean to them. What does power dressing mean to you? The lady in the front.
Maybe something which makes me feel confident.
Confident. Confident? How many else will associate power dressing with confidence? With a show of hands. Confident. Nice. So what does power dressing mean to you? Yes, please.
She said it's confidence first, and then, what do you say, putting your chin up and said, I'm over here.
I'm here.
Yeah.
So that would be assertion?
Yeah.
Assertion,
Yeah.
yes.
In
Any
a
other
positive way.
answers? Comfort? Yes? Okay. Distinct? Discreet. Any other keywords you associate with power dressing? Identity. Could you elaborate?
What I am அப்படின்ற ஒரு ஐடென்டிட்டிக்காக.
So your personality?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. So power dressing, we have had so many keywords, right? Confidence, comfort, assertion, discreet, and identity. But wouldn't that apply for any other item of clothing you're wearing? Don't you want to feel confident when you're going, when you're dressed for a shopping mall? You want to feel confident, right? Don't you want your personality when you're dressed for a shopping mall? Yes. So I think, so what makes power dressing different from dressing for any other occasion? All right, so let's find out. So which is why I'm here. Hi, I'm Purushu Arie, and I'm a fashion designer. I'm a graduate from NIFT New Delhi, and in 2017, I launched India's first exclusively ungendered fashion label. And I primarily, my line of research is on traditional Tamil clothing, and I have researched the inherent gender fluidity of traditional Indian clothing. Like in 2015, there were a lot of talks about gender fluidity, androgyny in fashion runways and trends. And it was during that period I was studying and researching how the clothing in ancient India as such was primarily gender fluid, and that gave me a direction to launch my own fashion label. So today I'll be discussing power dressing for women at Utsavam 2023 for the theme, The Future is Feminine. So before I proceed further, let's do this. What do you understand by the term feminine? Anyone from the audience? Feminine. Yeah, please.
A quality which makes I feel that every person, they have a feminine quality in them.
Nice,
So that's something which maybe born as a girl, I feel that I am more maybe graceful. I would say graceful or thoughtful, sensitive towards things. So I mean that's what I think.
So masculine and feminine, these are gender constructs at the end of the day, right? And it doesn't refer to biological sex, male, female, a trans, intersex person. So any of these biological sexes can possess the trait of femininity or masculinity. So these are gender constructs that we have created and we have associated as a society. And these constructs, they change, they evolve, right? Like what I may think, something may appear feminine to me, someone else may disagree. It may not be feminine for them. For example, a Scottish kilt, which men wear in Scotland. So I hope we're all aware what a Scottish kilt looks like. So that's something like a skirt, and that's a menswear garment. But someone who probably didn't have the exposure to Scottish culture in prior, when they're going to look at that kilt, they're going to identify it as a feminine skirt. Or very simple, the lungi that we have here, since we Tamil people have seen it, we see it as a masculine menswear garment. But someone who probably is oblivious or doesn't have the knowledge of Tamil culture, hasn't seen a man in lungi before, when he, she, they're gonna look at it, probably gonna recognize it feminine. Yeah? So this is why we say gender is fluid. So it changes with people, with society, with culture, with timeline. Like kings, they dress differently 100 years ago. They wore jewelry, they wore pearl necklaces. So that was masculine back then. But today, that is associated with femininity. So we need to have this understanding that what we say masculine, what we say feminine, they are very subjective. They are not objective. They're fluid. It just changes. So this is the understanding we need to proceed further with power dressing. So when you run a Google image search for the phrase power dressing, this is what you see. So to begin with, Google doesn't recognize the spelling of women with the X. So, and then you see images of women who are dressed in West End suits and blazers with the lapel collar. So this is the image you get when you Google power dressing. Why is that? Because power dressing as a fashion movement, it essentially started in West. In the 1970s America. So power dressing essentially refers to fashion's influence in social systems and negotiation of power. So this was when women went out to work. So this is specifically talking about workwear or clothing where women went out in position of power and they had to express themselves sartorially. So the style that gained popularity during that time, it was, so that is the power dressing movement that we are referring to. So that gained popularity in 70s and then evolved in 80s differently, which we'll be going through. So one of the earliest influence that really created that imagery of power dressing was Chanel's suit. So prior to World War, during the World War, she designed the first professional suit for women. And at that time, women weren't allowed to wear something like that. You all must have watched the movies Pirates of Caribbean. So Keira Knightley, she's wearing those huge gowns, farthingale gowns and corsets. So I think there is a scene where she actually suffocates and she falls, I think, in those corsets. So that essentially was how women dressed prior to that. And it was Coco Chanel who first designed a suit for women. And it was aimed at desexualizing the women's body. Prior to that, the clothing's ultimate purpose was to emphasize her femininity. It was all about celebrating the sexual identity. But for the first time, a lady thought, no, I'm going to de-sex the feminine look. And then much after, that is almost 40 years roughly, after Coco Chanel made the suit for women, Yves Saint Laurent, he introduced the first tuxedo for women in 1966. And when he introduced that, it received criticism from the public. The public were offended by the thought, how can a woman wear tuxedo? Why is she trying to behave like a man? And there is another interesting incident. So a New York socialite, so she was denied entrance into a restaurant while she was wearing this YSL Lee smoking. So Lee smoking is the name of the tuxedo. So she took off the trousers and went inside wearing the jacket as a dress. So very interesting. So both the attitude of the restaurant and also the attitude of this lady who decided, okay, no trousers, I'm going to wear the jacket as a dress and walk in. Boss. So, how many of you have watched that 70s show? That 70s show, fans? Yes. So in that, Donna Pinciotti, so she really gives out what that 70s liberation was all about. So 70s power dressing, it directly called for women to wear styles that were till then only socially confined in the male wardrobe. Yeah? So it directly called women to wear those styles because at that time, socially, women were told, like, you are not supposed to wear this. You're not supposed to wear the tuxedo. So they decided, no, we're going to rebel. I'm going to claim that tuxedo. If you can wear it, I can wear it. Yeah? So they asserted their right to access the wardrobe which was labeled masculine. So women asserted their right to choose their gender expression as well as the inherent fluidity of gender. So which is why in 70s when this power dressing movement began, we see that the tuxedo, it has a big role, the tuxedo, the blazers and suit, because that was the assertion to wear what they want to wear. And 70s was also the era when American women, they fought for sexual liberation. They fought for abortion rights and a lot of other parallel movements were happening. So on one side, we had women who were asserting the right to wear clothes, which are labeled masculine. On the other side, there were also women who were fighting for sexual liberation. So by 80s, what happens is these two movements, they come in together and the image of power dressing also evolves. So it is no longer just those masculine suits that you see. Women now incorporate even feminine elements. So by 80s, power dressing looks something like this. So again, yes, you have the blazer, you have those really powerful shoulders happening, but you also see those luxurious silk or velvet, what it looks like. Which with all that intricate surface texture happening. So they incorporated both the feminine and the masculine elements by 80s. So this is how power dressing has evolved. So I think we now have the understanding that power dressing essentially dealt with the clothing, which influenced women in workplace and in position of power. So, the next big question. So all of this happened in America, the other side of the world. So what will that mean in an Indian context? What did the powerful women of India dress like? So you have three women here, three really very powerful women from different social, cultural, economic backgrounds. Former Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, and then the four-time Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Mayawati, who fought the intersection of gender, caste and class oppression. And then we have the former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Ms. Jayalalitha. So how do you see the contrast of the power dressing that happened in West and the power dressing of the Indian ladies here? What are they wearing? Saris and the salwar kameez, right? So what can power dressing mean? Why are they wearing this? So what is the objective? Why would Jayalalitha cover herself in the sari, or why would Indira Gandhi wear these handlooms, or why would Mayawati wear that salwar suit? To represent the culture, to relate was another answer, and any more answers? Modesty? That's an interesting answer, right? Especially since, given their role as politician. Yes, and more importantly, the relevance of comfort to begin with. So we live in a hot and humid society, that's India, right? And in India, we don't, it's not all that very comfortable to be wearing blazers and or layer ourselves in at a workplace, like from morning to night. So the comfort again plays an important factor. And also here, yes, this was the other image I wanted to take you through. So in the previous image, you saw three women who are like from really powerful backgrounds. They are a position of power. And then these are women from relatively lower economic background who probably don't have the same power as them, but essentially they are working women. In left, you see image of a lady, she's a fisherwoman who has also draped the sari, and you see the image of this woman who's working in a paddy field, she has also draped a sari. But if you notice, they've draped it interestingly, like the lady in the paddy field, she has actually lifted that hem and she has tucked it in. Yes, she has actually tucked in her sari. Why is that? Comfort, right? Because there is purely for the sake of comfort. She did something there. So can you quickly associate? She has identified her own personal style, and this is her power dressing statement. Because for the work that she does, this is the most practical, and this is the functional attire that she decided to wear there. And this is her power dressing statement. Or likewise, in Maharashtra, the fisherwomen, they wear their sari. They drape their sari with the pleats that is passed in between the legs in a kacha style, like giving it like it's bifurcated. You know? Yes. So that's their expression of power dressing. So when I saw these, I think when I was studying in college, towards the end, during my days at NIFT, so I was studying more about this, like about how Indian women, or even men for that matter, they have essentially draped their clothing. Stitched clothing didn't gain prominence till the colonial era. Prior to that, tailored clothes as such was accessible for a handful of royal elites. Tailored clothing became accessible to the masses only after the colonial era. So until then, people had essentially draped their clothes. So that made me, it made me fascinated about how people, they have taken this one rectangular piece of fabric and they've draped it in so many styles. There are so many hundred different ways to drape a sari. And how a sari as such is so versatile, like it can fit so many different needs. It can, you can achieve so many different looks with a sari. So which is when I started experimenting and exploring with saris, as a designer. And I think that is when once this comment came from a rather prominent fashion designer who said like once, Indian women should be ashamed if they don't know how to wear a sari. So that one statement came, it's like, so do Indian women need to be ashamed for not knowing how to wear a sari? No. Nobody needs to be ashamed for not knowing anything. Which is when I realized that there was an actual generation gap. Because when I do speak to my mom, like I did show her my experimental saris and all that, but she prefers, she likes that unstitched sari. She likes to drape it and pin it in her own way. And then my own cousin sister, who for her school farewell function, she didn't want that sari. She wanted one of my sari, which I had tailored. She said, I can't carry all that sari. It's like, I'm scared it's going to fall off. I cannot carry that. I want your sari. Give me yours. So we have two different tastes. So I have my sister here who doesn't know to drape a sari, and I have my mom here who's a pro at draping sari. Both are right? Nobody deserves to be shamed. And that is what our personal style about. That is where our personal tastes come in. Our clothing needs to offer functional solutions for our lifestyle. Yeah. And which is why I wanted to experiment with sari, and for example, this sari you see here, this particular image of this lady who is standing here in center. So this image, I think I was at a cafeteria, cafe coffee day perhaps, I think. So there I happened to see this on a wall, and I immediately took a photograph. So this is an image of a Coorg woman. So in Coorg, women have this distinct style of sari draping, where they actually tie it up in the shoulder. And I wanted to experiment it, give it a more contemporary relevance, in the sense like, what would someone like my sister, a Gen Z, how would a Gen Z associate with something like this? And so I now call model Prazi to stage. Prazi, please. So I'll give an introduction of Prazi. Prazi is representing Tamil Nadu at Miss Trans Queen India 2023. So Prazi is also a college lecturer. She works at Dot School of Design. She teaches fashion design. She's also a model and choreographer. So Sari will demonstrate how this sari is worn. So for me, I draped a sari in less than 10 seconds. I was faster than my mom. Yes, sir. So this was an interpretation of this Coorg style of a sari. So I wanted to see how to make it a more ready-made, a tailored version. Thank you, Prazi. So this was one of my initial styles. So I made another sari, in fact, that's called a one-arm sari. So it actually has an armhole, so you can just slip your hand inside and put it here. And when you do that, so it resembles sari drape of what the Greek men wear, the Greco-Roman toga. And the same sari, if you take it off and from here, if you're gonna drape it, the drape is gonna fall in front like a Marwadi sari. So there's another design that's made. So when I made this design and I showed my mom, to begin with, for my mom, that's not a sari. It doesn't have plates in front. That cannot be a sari. And then I tried explaining, no, this is how cool women drape their sari. This is not my sari. And then I said, okay, I'll do something that is in your style, and which is when I came up with the next style. Prazi? So this is the same sari that you see in the background. Yes, we essentially don't it because it already has an inner skirt tailored. Yes, it's tailored inside. Sorry? No, she still won't accept. Because she's very specific about her personal taste. Yes, you do this is nice, but this is not me. So, which I respect and appreciate. Yes, please.
To say these things, but I just wanted to say that currently in Bollywood there's a trend, right? If you wear a sari, it should be in a revealing, little sexy manner and all of that. So, what is your inspiration of actually putting a sari together and without revealing any part of the body? I mean, I don't know if this is the right question to ask.
Yes.
But
No, the sari can be sexy. The sari cannot be sexy. The sari can be everything. Sari is infinite.
true, but then this generation also looks at these.
Like I mentioned, it's all about personal taste. So, for example, we just discussed about why power dressing notion as such decided to desexualize the women's clothing. Yeah, sari again. So this was another attempt for me. These are all my attempts at desexualizing the sari. There are enough designers who are already sexualizing the sari. So let me do the other work. Someone needs to do, right? So that is fun. And not just that, Prazi, I forgot to tell you another interesting feature about the sari. If you can, please come. You can put it inside your pocket. So we have a sari with a pocket. Any? That's the first time? Have any of you seen that before? A sari with pocket? Yes? Oh, nice. Nice. I'm glad. So yes. Essentially, when I went through these images of be it the female politicians of India or all the women who are working, the working class women, they're all essentially wearing the sari. However, there is a disconnect, especially with the younger generation, Gen Z especially. So my mom and my sister, they belong to two different generations, right? So they have two different needs. So my younger sister, the cousin sister I mentioned, she's more likely going to wear a sari like this. But for my mom, no, that's never going to happen. So which is what brings us to the next discussion, topic of discussion, that is how to identify your personal taste and style. Because what power dressing can mean for American women, they may not mean the same for Indian women. And within India now, what power dressing can mean for Prazi, it may mean something else for the lady sitting here. So whatever clothing that made my mom comfortable, it made my sister uncomfortable. So how to identify your personal style? So that's the question. So I think I can here. So let's say you go to a shop and you actually forget a dress. Let's take an example of a sari. So you actually see a sari in a color that you really like. It's the color you really like and you want to own that sari. Or in the same shop, you see a sari which has pockets. And now you need to make a purchase decision. You have money only to buy one. Who's going to buy the sari because they really like the color? Yes? Nice. Okay. And who's going to choose the sari just because it has that pockets? Nice. You see, there's a split opinion there, right? Okay, let's come back. So how many of you will wear a stitched sari? Like between the two, if you have to like either buy a tailored sari or something that's not stitched, who wants to buy a stitched sari? No. One person, two person? Nice, nice. And those who want their sari unstitched? Hands. See? Yeah.
I like wearing unstitched sari because it's body. It does not have any specific size.
Yes.
Anyone would have
Absolutely. And it's also a zero waste garment. There are so many merits, which is what I'm saying. Everything has so many different merits, but when it comes to personal style, it's about what we prioritize, right? Like you prioritize this unstitched sari because of this. Anyone who says stitched sari, why?
It looks nice.
Okay, it looks nice. 50-50. So that's beautiful, because how many are aware of Carl Jung's cognitive functions in general? You are aware? Carl Jung, the cognitive functions. Yes? If you can, one of you can just brief the audience. Okay, it's okay. Whatever. In generic term, we are just going to touch the base of it. Who else said yes in the audience? Oh no, everyone is quiet. Okay. So Carl Jung happens to be this psychologist and who contributed extensively in the sciences of cognition and behavior, and he basically tried classifying and understanding human personalities. Now we humans are so different, right? We are all different from one another, and still he basically created this interesting framework of cognitive functions to understand human behavior and so on. So I don't want to get in depth with it, but why I am very much fascinated with his framework is because when you apply that to fashion, it fits perfectly. It fits so beautifully. And which is what I'm trying to tell here. So Carl Jung, what he basically said is we use two fundamental type of functions. One is decision-making function, and another is a perceiving function. So decision-making is about how we make a decision. So our decisions are either feeling-oriented or they're thinking-oriented. We all use both of these feeling as well as thinking oriented functions, but we are inclined to be somewhere. Like nobody is almost exactly here or nobody is exactly here, but we are all somewhere in the spectrum between this feeling and thinking style decision. Yeah. So here, thinking style decision. Basically, it is more cerebral. It focuses more on the functional aspects. It focuses more on the utility aspects. And the feeling style decision, that focuses more on the personal taste, the personal values, the personal inclination. A thinking style decision, in its extreme, it needs to have a logic to why I'm even wearing this. A feeling style decision is about making a personal statement. So one extreme example of feeling style decision would be like you go to the Met Gala. Yeah. The celebrities they're wearing, are they functional? Are they based on utility? But is it about them making a statement about themselves? So which side of a decision making is it more of? It's more towards the feeling side, yeah? And let's talk about an astronaut who's going into space. He has a spacesuit. She has a spacesuit. They have a spacesuit. So can the astronaut sit and decide, no, I want my body to look slim here. I want to accentuate my waist. Do they have the choice? No. You need to choose a more thinking style of decision over there. Yes? So I think when I asked this question there, who wanted to buy the dress with pockets? Who raised the hands? The dress with pockets. So you made a more thinking style decision over there, thought-based style decision. And who said you want to wear that sari in the color they really liked, people? Yeah, so you valued your personal feeling there. You put that first. So you chose that first. So there is no right or wrong here. It's just that we are who we are and we fall somewhere here. Yeah. That doesn't mean just because one is inclined more towards the feeling side, doesn't mean they don't have this side. They will be valuing this, but more number of times they're going to prioritize this. And likewise, people who choose this, more number of times they're going to prioritize this. So this is one. This is a decision-making function. And another is perceiving function. How do you perceive fashion? How do you perceive the trends? How do you perceive the existing socio-cultural norms of dressing? Are you going to conform to it? Or you're not going to conform to it? So that's here. So conforming. Majority of a population in general tend to be on the conforming side. The non-conforming, the examples would be the punks. We are all aware of the punk movement that happened. Okay, I'll try to get an Indian example of non-conforming. Yes, can you give us an example of Indians who refuse to conform to the existing societal standards? Sorry? Ranveer Singh? Yes, actually, yes. A good example. Ranveer Singh, it's actually non-conforming. So non-conforming happens to be more experimental, and conforming happens to be more inclined towards the tradition side. Yes? Ranveer Singh was a good example. Any other example? That is actually conforming. Yes. It is conforming to the tradition. So when Gandhi chose the... It's very interesting. So it depends on the perspective you look at it. The movement as such was a movement of non-conformity, but as such, he chose Swadeshi to reject something foreign. That is because he was standing up for his tradition. So he was conforming. I mean, to the British, yes, definitely, I understand. The movement was essentially about non-conformity to Videshi politics or whatever, but it's essentially conforming. It is calling back to the tradition. And non-conforming is like rejecting what is there. Non-conforming would be like saying, no, I want to let go of this and I want to try something new. So that way you can put it. Yes. Non-conforming. That would be non-conforming.
I was wondering, like a woman who's been wearing sari her entire life, is she not conforming to trends and...
So the sari can be both conforming and non-conforming. For example, the white sari that I presented there, that's definitely a non-conforming sari. Because I wasn't conforming with the traditional sari. So I'll explain myself. So I am more towards this side. As a fashion designer, this is where I identify myself. My style is more functionality oriented, utility oriented. Probably because I was born a man, I got to wear clothes which were always focused on functionality. And now that I've gotten used to it, I just cannot let go of the functionality. Maybe that did have an influence, but that's who I am, and that's where my personal styling is. And that is why when I was designing clothes, I wanted, I think it was in my college, we would exchange clothes, because in fashion college, you have all that freedom to experiment. And I would exchange clothes with my female friends, and she actually had this really nice pegged denim trouser, and you never find such variety for men. Like for women, you always have that variety, which is never there for men. And for men, you always have that functional aspects, like it's the most comfortable piece of clothing ever they'll advertise. And somehow for women, that comfort almost never existed. That's how the gender politics work in retail. So when I did borrow that peg trouser from her and I did wear it, I really liked the style. What I realized, like, I didn't have space to even keep my mobile phone. I mean, it did have a pocket, but when I did try to keep the phone could never really go in. It was peeping out. And that's when I realized, okay, there is a problem. And for me, designer is a problem solver. Designer is essentially a problem solver. I realized, okay, there is a problem. Let's address the solution. Let's address the situation. And that's when I realized it's very, very important for clothing to have pockets. Let it be a sari, which is why even when I made sari, and not just sari, even the dress that Prazi is wearing right now. Prazi, can you just demonstrate? This is also another design which I made. It is also inspired from the sari's pleats. So it was very, very important for me, for the clothes to have sari. This again is inspired from sari only. So you can see the front pleats. So I just so that's where because for me, I am more inclined towards this side. And yes. For me, for me that comfort matters the most. So that is where I position myself as a designer or a brand. And likewise, definitely I'm non-conforming too, because even I also design veshtis and lungis and everything. For me, I like wearing the veshti. I like wearing the lungi, but I have a phone to carry. I have a wallet to keep. I need my veshti, I need my lungi to offer those functional solutions. So which is when I started designing everything. So I'm definitely non-conforming. And usually, generically, majority of the population are conforming, and it's usually a very, very small bunch that are non-conforming. And it's really great if those non-conforming people happens to be designers, because they usually are the disruptors, is the conforming ones who are the protectors of a tradition. So we need both, because that is what makes a balance. So now putting them together. So you have 4 very different styles coming there. You have one style which will make a feeling-based decision and who is not conforming. You have one style who's making a thinking-based decision, but doesn't conform either. You have another style which is making thinking-based decision, but is conforming. And you have one style which is making a feeling-based decision, which is conforming. So in power dressing, with respect to workwear, which is most important? Conformity. Conforming is most important because every workplace. Definitely, yeah. Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Yes, I will be addressing that. Conforming, because why I said conforming matters more is because most workspaces come with a dress code. So you cannot just say, no, I'm a non-conforming person, I'm not going to obey your dress code and turn up in something else altogether. We have an understanding, yes? So there is, everything comes with its own restrictions and limitations. But we all fall everywhere. For example, the person who identifies as someone who isn't conforming, someone who identifies as non-conforming to trends and tradition, to the fashion cycle in general. You're non-conforming to the fashion cycle. Okay, so let's discuss a sari only. Yes. So Prazi initially she wore this one sari that was which had the Madras text in it. So is it inclined more towards the feeling or towards the thinking? Feeling. Definitely, it was feeling oriented. Because I went to some CCD, I saw this imagery of this woman who was dressed in the Kurg sari, and I was like, no, I really, really like it. I want to replicate it, and I just wanted to recreate it. And I didn't really focus much on the functional aspects. I didn't focus on the utility aspects. I just wanted to create an artisanal statement over there. Yeah. So that's more feeling oriented. And then the other sari, a white one you saw, is that feeling oriented or thinking oriented? Thinking. It was all about, it was very, very carefully thought out. Like, I want my pockets here. I want the waist to be covered. I want this many pleats. I want the pleats to have ease of movement. I wanted a petticoat over there. Everything was very carefully planned and designed to Okay, okay. Do that and so on. And let's discuss within conforming and non-conforming. Those two saris that you saw, are they conforming or non-conforming? Definitely non-conforming, yes. They're more towards the non-conforming. I identified, okay, these are the problem with the sari, and I wanted something to change, and that is non-conformity. So you as such, you can identify where you belong. We all belong somewhere in this plane. If I had more time, I could probably give you all questionnaires and address your style queries individually, maybe, but that's gonna take more time. But I'm available on Instagram @Purushu Arie, or you can write me an email, contact@purushu.com, or I can give you my card. You can get an appointment. I can help you identify where you fall, what clothing will make you comfortable, and how you can, have your workwear wardrobe without compromising on your personal taste and your personal values. So I think we can take questions from audience. Yes. You can ask your personal style questions, dressing according to body types, what colors suits, what skin tone, because this is a very, very, very in-depth, this like a 6-month course when we teach it in a college, this particular subject. Yeah.
How do we eradicate the idea of certain clothes being associated with certain genders? For me, I get extremely mad when someone says, "Podava katna dhaan ponnu mari irukka," because I wear a sari because it's body friendly. So how do we actually destroy this idea that certain clothes, they're associated with certain genders because most people from that gender have been wearing it for a very long time. How do we break this?
Be the change you want to see. So that starts from the personal scale. But I understand your concern. There is a social construct. So that we as a society needs to come together and break it. And for that, for any societal problems, there is one framework anyone can refer: educate, agitate, organize. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he coined it to fight a social oppression. So any form of social oppression can be fought with this construct. First step is to educate. Which is why when I was a designer, I was also parallelly running a fashion blog. I wanted to educate them about how clothing got gendered in the first place, because earliest people who wore clothes, they did not wear menswear or women's wear. They just wrapped vegetation around them. In Indus Valley, people just wrapped a piece of cloth around them. And since நீங்க சொன்னீங்க இல்லையா புடவை கட்டினதான் பெண்ணுன்னு, அதே புடவை வந்து 1000 ஆண்டுகள் முன்னாடி ஆண்களும் கட்டி தான் இருந்தாங்க. அவங்க பெண்ணா அப்போ?
One question. Do you think the sari will last longer than 20 years? Do you think there'll be anyone but older women wearing the sari 20 years from now?
Definitely, yes. People will be
looking at the younger generation.
Yes, they will be wearing
most
sari.
Most of them don't know how to wrap a sari. Okay. There will be exceptions. But I want to know, do you think the sari will last longer than 20 years?
That's a beautiful question, for which I would like to, I'll briefly take you through the evolution of the sari itself. So this term pudavai, when you look at Sangam literature, where Kannagi, they are wearing pudavai, that pudavai was nothing but a piece of cloth that was wrapped around the waist with pleats in front. So it isn't covering the upper body. So the women of Sangam era didn't cover the upper body. They did wear the pudavai. Essentially, the pudavai resembled the modern day lungi or the veshti that you wear. So that was the sari of that time. And much later, that sari gets fabric, front covering, the mundane basically, the pallu. That is an addition. And then today you have tailored saris and so on. So I think the image, the visual image, the functions of the sari itself may constantly keep evolving and changing with the changing society and social needs. But the sari as such is definitely going to be there eternal.
Thank you so much, Prazi. We didn't see you do your little walk in this dress. We didn't get to hear from you at all. Would you like to say a few words?
Oh yes, really sorry. I actually wanted to call her after she did the sari.
I'm sure. I'm just like.
First of all, thank you so much, designer Purushu Arie, bringing me here as a model for the futurist feminine. I'm strong and powerful woman. I'm proud to be trans woman, I really celebrate the qualities that I have a woman. When I was in a early stage, like in school time, people told me I'm a different. I'm not different. I'm feminine. Feminine is not different. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
One of the reasons this was a very important aspect of power dressing, of this whole festival, is because I think it's the first time at Utsavam we've probably done something with fashion and using fashion as a form of strength rather than just historically looking at it. And I think you very beautifully wove together history, present, contemplation, and how we decide. And the idea was for it not to be a personalized session. The idea was for it to give you a window into thinking what goes into a power outfit in the history of it. And you will have to find a consultant, a designer, somebody who you can work with on your personal style and evolve it to represent who you are and what makes you comfortable to own the power that is either you're going to claim or that's given to you. So I think that was fantastic. Thank you so much again. I would oh, he's not here. Okay, cool. Can I invite Katrina to please just come and honor our... we also want to honor Katrina because we did before the festival last week, we did a session on Girl Boss Networking that I think some of you were here for at the Goethe Institute, and thank you for partnering with us and doing that and also helping conceive this very fun session.